Good morning, I'm Isaiah Jacob. Last night, the Columbus Blue Jackets dropped their sixth game in a row after a 2-1 loss to Winnipeg. With just 5 games left in the season, they find themselves in a 4-way tie for the final wildcard spot in the East. They look to get back on track tomorrow night against the Red Wings at 7. Up in Cleveland, with the playoff spot already clinched, the Cavs are playing for a top 4 seed in the East and home court advantage tonight at 6 o'clock when they host the Pacers. In Major League Baseball action, the Guardians have a doubleheader today with the Cubs at 1:10 and 4:40. And down in Cincinnati, the Reds got a 2-0 win over the Rangers yesterday and will face them again this afternoon at 2:30. The Columbus Crew locked in their first win of the season yesterday, 3-1 versus Atlanta United. And then in March Madness action, Yukon pulled away from Illinois 71-62 to punch their ticket to the national championship game. And in the final game of the night, Michigan routed Arizona 91-73. The title game will be tomorrow night at 8:50.
Oh, baby, it's time for On the Money. Because let's face it, it's more fun that way.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966. And presented by Ohio for Responsible Gambling. Remember to pause before you play.
Here's Scotty Vegas and Dave Biddle.
Welcome to On the Money, 97.1 The Fan. I am Dave Biddle. I am joined by Ryan Baker. Scotty Vegas is off. Isaiah Jacob at the controls. We'll be with you for the next 2 hours talking sports gambling, sports in general. We have a That's Trash segment. Got some this or that coming your way. But Ryan Baker, national championship game is set for men's basketball tomorrow night. Michigan favored by 7.5 points over Yukon. What are your thoughts about that point spread?
So if you're just looking at the teams, I could see it, right? Because nobody realized or nobody thought Michigan was going to do what they did to Arizona last night. And I, for most of the year, have kind of thought that Arizona was the best team in the country. I loved that backcourt. Michigan is just so long, and that length of theirs dominated Arizona last night. I don't know how, when you look at the numbers, though, with Yukon and Danny Hurley as their coach, I don't know how you can bet against this guy. Because if you look at some of the numbers, Dan Hurley's 19-5 in the NCAA tournament, just under 80% winning percentage. He's 18-1 in his last 19 games in the NCAA tournament. Of course, 2 national titles in there. He's 11-0 from the Sweet 16 on in the tournament, and he's 14-0 against the spread from round 2 on.
But I hate to say this, but Dusty May's been really good, too. Not to that level.
Dusty May's the one coach that might be able to match him.
Yeah, he took FAU to a Final Four. Even his first year at Michigan, they got to a Sweet 16. He has them in the national championship game now. Everybody thought Arizona, at the very least, is going to be like basically a 50-50 game. Arizona actually was the favorite by a tip-off. Arizona was a 1.5-point favorite after Michigan had been a 1.5-point favorite for most of the week. And they just ran Arizona off the court. I think that's a big reason we're seeing that point spread at 7.5. I think if last night's game was close between Michigan and Arizona, this might be more like a 5.5-point spread against Yukon. I think people saw, because everybody was saying that's the real national championship game, right? Arizona against Michigan, and Michigan just treated Arizona like a D2 team that didn't even make the tournament. It was embarrassing for Arizona. That Burries looked like he didn't even belong on the floor, and he's a really good player, averages like 17 points a game. Mm-hmm. I mean, Michigan just dominated. It doesn't mean they're going to dominate Yukon. I mean, that does give me pause when you bring up Dan Hurley's record. And but man, this Michigan team is just a juggernaut.
And you have to think, too, you kind of wonder, because everybody billed it as the national championship last night between Michigan and Yukon, and Michigan just came out guns a-blazing. You have to wonder if there will be some kind of letdown for Michigan after a performance like that. And what's Axel Lindenberg's calf look like Monday night? Like, they wrapped it up last night. It didn't seem to bother him too much in the second half. He was still shooting, hitting threes, playing like you've always seen him. But maybe today, when he wakes up, that thing's a lot tighter and a lot more sore than it was last night. So there are a lot of factors there. When I see it, though, the 7.5 seems like a little much to me.
Yeah, I'll probably stay away from it. I'll probably stay away from it. If Michigan does win, this is not the way we wanted it to happen, but if Michigan does win, they will end the Big Ten's 26-year streak of not winning an NCAA men's basketball national championship. That's kind of a crazy streak because you think of how many great Big Ten teams there have been during that time. I mean, several teams have got to the national championship team or game during that time, including Ohio State in 2007. If all those Florida guys didn't come back, like knowing all those guys and Horford, I can't believe those guys came back pre-NIL era. Ohio State would have been the national champion that year. So, Michigan's been to national championship games since then. We've seen Purdue, Wisconsin got to one, Michigan State. I mean, but since Michigan State won it in 2000, the year 2000 with Mateen Cleaves, Michigan State that year lost at Wright State that season.
Early on.
Yeah, it was the last game of 1999, and it was at Wright State, and they beat Michigan State. I'm thinking, okay, the Y2K stuff might be real. this might be Armageddon. Like, Wright State just beat Michigan State, like, at the Nutter Center, but Michigan State was the last one to do it 26 years ago, which is an insane streak, which will probably end tomorrow night.
You're going to have, no matter who wins this game, insane streaks coming to an end because Michigan, as you mentioned, a Big Ten team, hasn't won it since 2000. Nobody will have won 3 titles in 4 years since John Wooden and UCLA, and that's what Yukon can do this year. And I think Alex Caravan, what is it? He would be the first player to, I can't remember how it is, but Alex Caravan could win 3 here as a player, and there's something with him as well.
Like
but
since Bill Walton or something like that.
3 and 4, the first since UCLA.
Like
that
Lou
would be
Alcindor. That's good company to be in. John Wooden,
Like Danny Hurley, we talked about this, Bids. I think that Monday night, this is the 2 best coaches in the sport.
Yep.
Like, can you make an argument for Kelvin Sampson in there? Maybe. Could you make an argument for Izzo? I don't know anymore, but Izzo's great. There's some really good coaches, but I think Dusty May and Danny Hurley are the 2 best. If Danny Hurley gets this done, he's probably going down in the record books as one of the best ever to do it in college basketball.
Yes, and this would be what, UConn's 6th? 3 with, or maybe more than that.
This would be their 7th, I believe. They had
right. 3
with Calhoun,
Yep.
1 with Ollie, and 2 so far with Hurley.
All since 99.
All of them.
All since 99.
So Alex Caravan would be the first player in 53 years to win 3 national titles.
Yeah.
And who was the last? Was it Lou Alcindor or was it?
It has to be one of those
Bill
UCLA
Walton?
guys, right?
I'm trying to guess.
Something like that.
And Walton was younger than Kareem, but he was Lou Alcindor back then. But I bet it's one of those 2. Watch it not be.
And talking about Big Ten teams in the Final Four, that Yukon team, the first one that won it in '99 with Rip Hamilton, Khalid El-Amin, they beat Ohio State in the Final Four.
And that was a good game.
Great game.
The Buckeyes, we're right there. That was such a fun. I'm not breaking news to any Ohio State fan out there. That, especially coming out of nowhere. It's kind of like when the football team does that. Nothing was really expected out of the 2002 team. It would have been special regardless. But that 99-2000 team was coming off an awful year. Now, Scooney Penn wasn't on the team the previous year. But for them to go from just last in the Big Ten to all the way to the Final Four, and they were just a fun team, with Brian Brown. Obviously, the 2 main guys was Scooney and Michael Rebb, but Kenny Johnson, George Reese. I mean, that was just a fun team. Boban Savovich, who took the program
Jason
down.
Singleton.
Jason Singleton. Heck yeah, Jason Singleton is a senior. Nashawn Coleman coming off the bench. That was just a fun team.
It's interesting you mentioned the year before with that Ohio State team and Scooney not being on the team. Well, he wasn't, but he was there.
Yes.
He was there sitting out with his transfer as he came from Boston College with Jim O'Brien. And that was kind of the groundwork for that 99 season was laid in that year before with Scooney and practice, getting those guys to raise their standard and tell them it wasn't good enough. And so Scooney may not have been there on that team the year before, but he was part of that team, and he was doing a lot that nobody saw or knew.
That's a great point. And we did hear stories, and we were like, let's hope this is true, because the basketball program had been down, for several years at Ohio State at the time. We were hearing when Scooney was sitting out that year that he was just tearing people up in practice. We're like, okay, good. I remember hearing the same thing. Do you remember Ron Lewis when he transferred in from Bowling Green? Mm-hmm. That was still when you had to sit out a year. Yeah. So he had to sit out a year. We were told stuff like, Ron Lewis is going to be a stud here. He is like, tearing people up in practice, and then Ron Lewis ended up being a stud here. One guy who I thought might be a stud here, and he had a decent 3-year career for sure. I think his best year was his sophomore year. the previous season. But Devin Royal has 1 year left, and he's going to transfer. Ryan, I'm curious to get your take on this. To me, this feels like, and I don't think this is spin doctoring. I honestly feel this way. This is a good fit for both sides. There's only so much NIL money to throw around, right? And Amari Bynum has established himself as the 4, which is what Devin Royal used to be. He used to be an undersized 4. They tried to move him to the 3, and I thought he was better as an undersized 4 in college ball than he was as a 3-man.
Correct.
But, he knows if he's going to play pro ball, he needs to play the 3. But they're bringing in Anthony Thompson. He's going to be the 3, and Bynum's going to be the 4. And you're not going to bring, and Devin's not going to want to come off the bench. And he's not making a ton in NIL, I don't think, but he's making a decent amount. You want to allocate that to bringing in a point guard and helping, get it. They need to bring in a starting point guard and a starting center in the portal at the very least to go along with Junie and to go along with Thompson and to go along with Bynum. And now Devin's going to be able to find a team, maybe not a powerhouse, but a good Power 4 program that has good pieces in place, but they need a 4 or they need a 3, where Ohio State doesn't. They can give Devin the money that he needs. It just feels like a good situation for both sides.
It seemed inevitable.
Yes.
Right? Because, and here's the thing. You got decent production from Devin Royal, but you paid him to come in here. You paid him probably more than you should have, more than the market, to get him to stay for this year's team. How much more money can you give this player? And also a player, as you mentioned, that's probably not starting next year. Now, there's a lot being put into Anthony Thompson, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. And if he's not a dude in year 1, people are going to freak out, and that may not be good for this Ohio State basketball team on the court next year. But it's all about your allocation of your resources, and you have put money for guys you want back next year. Amari Bynum, Junie Mobley were the 2 probably at the top of that list. Mm-hmm. You're paying probably a pretty good penny for Anthony Thompson to come in here. So it's just a thing of roster management, and you've identified those 2 guys in your front court as your guys. Devin's probably gotten this much, wants this much. You're not going to get it here. So, it just seems like a fit. And you mentioned you got to bring another guard in here. You've got Junie, you've got Tayson Chapman, but you need more there. You mentioned the center position. I think we're all forgetting about Josh Ojonwuna, who came in from Baylor and was hurt this year. I don't know if he's going to be your starting center or not, but he is a guy that has played college basketball. He's on your roster, but you probably do want another big. You probably gave Alex Smith, the other freshman, a little bit of money to come in here this year. Maybe that's why you're seeing Colin White gone now, so he can move on and maybe go somewhere, a smaller school. Maybe he can start getting more time to play in his final 2 years. So, it's just, it makes sense, even though it doesn't to us still. Like, oh, this is a local guy, Ohio Mr. Basketball. How can he leave? But it all makes sense.
Yesterday was Student Appreciation Day over at Ohio State, and we've got football updates on the Buckeyes coming at you next on The Money.
If you consider yourself a Buckeye fan, you've come to the right place. This is your heritage sports talker and home of Ohio State athletics, The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Our yoga instructor challenged us to find inner peace. I found it faster than anyone. After 4 seconds, I stood up and screamed, "I found Nirvana! I win!" They asked me to leave. I guess they don't respect winning. Bet365 does, though. New customers get $365 in bonus bets just for betting $10. Namaste, losers. Bet365. Winning is everything. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-MY-RESET. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio. T&Cs apply. In-app only.
Hey there. Jane Lynch here. You want to hear something funny? Too bad. You want to hear something uplifting that will inspire you? Good. Because today, I want to talk to you about Direct Relief, a humanitarian organization that does seriously good work when it counts. Fires, hurricanes, earthquakes. When disaster strikes, Direct Relief immediately shows up with medicines, medical supplies, and everything doctors and nurses need to save lives. Let's ship her out! Every day across the United States and around the world, they're making an enormous difference. If someone needs help, Direct Relief helps. No politics, no red tape. Hey, what you doing over there?
Oh, I'm packing insulin for kids with diabetes.
See, every box here is literally a lifeline for someone in critical need. So check them out at directrelief.org. you might just bring a smile to someone's face.
I always tell people I was the luckiest guy in the world. I wanted to be an Army man or a fireman, and I got to do both. As a firefighter, my job was about saving lives. I never thought one day I would be fighting for mine.
After spending his career answering the call to save others, Ken was diagnosed with ALS. Now he's facing his biggest battle, for more time. For 70 years, Muscular Dystrophy Association has been answering the call to help people live longer and more independent lives.
MDA means to me hope.
MDA is leading the way for people living with ALS, muscular dystrophy, and other neuromuscular diseases by accelerating research, advancing care, and advocating to empower families like Ken's.
I wouldn't be living as good of a life with ALS if it wasn't for MDA. MDA is helping people live stronger and love longer. Learn more at mda.org today.
I thought mixing bleach with my floor cleaner would take the stain out.
When my youngest ate the dog's medicine, that was a new one.
I was trying to protect my garden, but I accidentally sprayed myself with pesticide.
So I called 1-800-222-1222, the poison helpline.
A poison expert helped me figure out what to do next.
I was connected to someone who spoke Spanish.
They answered my questions.
It was free.
It was confidential.
It was real help in real time.
Keep the poison experts in your pocket. 1-800-222-1222.
Colin Man here for Hollywood Casino Columbus.
Oh, Mikey, did you know something new is coming and it's right around the corner?
What is it?
Now you can stay while you play. It's the all-new Hollywood Casino Columbus Hotel. It's coming June 12th, and we want you to celebrate with us as we open the doors with a can't-miss concert and festival.
And here's something for you this month. It's the Win Your Way drawings on select Wednesdays and Saturdays. You can score $100,000. Plus, coming in May, it's the Hollywood Tribute Concert Series.
Ooh, must be 21 to enter. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. Mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
At National Geographic Society, we believe in the power of wonder. It drives us to explore, pushes us to see the world differently, moves us to action. And we believe that today, wonder is more essential than ever.
Wow.
That's why we're supporting a new generation of explorers to ask big questions, make breakthroughs, and bring the future closer. Wonder awaits. Will you join us? Visit natgeo.org/wonder.
Hey folks, it's game day and the betting's gonna be intense, Drew.
You said it, Dave, but a good pregame routine keeps betting responsible.
That's right, you gotta pause before you play.
Good call. Sports betting is hot, but it can be risky.
And pausing to set limits is an all-star move.
That's right, Dave. If you bet on sports, pause before you play to set limits, recognize the risk, and know when to stop.
Learn more at pausebeforeyouplay.org.
What's the best way to make sure you don't miss any of your favorite fan shows?
Oh, no.
Download the Fan app, silly.
Ah, damn it, I knew that.
App Store, Google Play, or just scream right at your phone. Psst, you can also listen to Buckeye games. Do it now. Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Partly sunny skies for us on this Easter Sunday with daytime highs getting into the low 50s and breezy winds. And then for tonight, we'll see partly cloudy skies with areas of frost developing toward daybreak with lows in the 30s. For Monday, we'll see mostly sunny skies and a little bit warmer as highs get into the mid to upper 50s with breezy winds. For The Fan, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfalo with the 10 weather impact forecast.
The two most mature people working at the radio station. And that's just because they wear pants.
The pervert and the skivvies.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays at noon.
The Fan. And now back to a show featuring two dudes who've been kicked out of their homes by angry wives. This pretty much sums up every show we have here on The Fan. You're listening to On the Money.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
All right, Ryan, every year over at Ohio State during spring practice, it's interesting because of all the turnover. You know, there's a lot of new faces, usually some new coaches, several new players. This year's like that, but on steroids. And the cream and the clear and everything you can find at Balco. I mean, it is insane. 51 total new players are already here, including 43 scholarship players, several new coaches. We've already had introductory press conferences with Arthur Smith, the new offensive coordinator, very impressive. Cortez Hankton, new wide receivers coach, extremely impressive. And we've talked to James Smith. We talked to some of the other new guys. So tons of new guys on the team. And this is just the new normal in college football. If you're like, is this kind of like a one-year thing? If you're just kind of getting up to speed on this, no, this is a new normal. Is it going to be 51 guys every year? I don't know if it's going to be that many. It could even be more. Could be a little less. I bet it'll be right around there every year.
What I want to know is if this is the new normal, and are we going to see people in Columbus, Ohio? I should have done it today, actually, but are we going to see people in Columbus, Ohio with the number 2 pencil up in their hat? Because Patricia brought it last year. I saw James Laurinaitis was doing it this year.
That's a good lieutenant right there. How about James?
Is this the new normal in Columbus, Ohio? Number 2 pencils in the hat.
I love that James did that when he came out. And obviously that wasn't James's introductory press conference. We talked to James on Thursday. Former 97.1 The Fan personality, James Laurinaitis. He is so darn impressive. And you and I have talked about this too, Ryan. I know how you feel about this. I have this. It's more than a gut feeling that one day James Laurinaitis is going to be the head coach at Ohio State. And he's just so, I think this is the most impressive coaching. And they have to prove it because a lot of guys, we don't even know. They have incompletes, you know. Robbie Disher's another one, the new special teams coach. We just don't know. I think the Arthur Smith hire was really good. Time will tell. Ryan, I think during my time on the beat, and that spans a decent amount of time, over 20 years because I'm old. I think this is the best coaching staff that Ohio State has assembled. And if you're Ross Bjork and the people over there signing checks, you're probably thinking it better freaking be because this is the most expensive coaching staff in the country with Matt Patricia making $3.75 million, which I think he's worth every penny. But you look from top to bottom, Ryan Day, and then he's got the 2 former NFL head coaches as his coordinators with Patricia and Arthur Smith. You know, just down the line with guys like Laurinaitis, Tim Walton, Matt Guerreri, Larry Johnson, Carlos Loughlin, Cortez Hankton. I just across the board, you know, Keenan Bailey, across the board, I just think this is probably the best top to bottom coaching staff that I've seen at Ohio State.
That is pretty big because there's been some great coaches that have come through Ohio State on their staffs. And I think what that is going to come down to is how it works with Arthur Smith this year, because I know you didn't have Matt Patricia, but Jim Knowles was still pretty good, and that staff with Chip Kelly a few years ago was a pretty damn good staff. So that's close. But Patricia, I don't know if I'd trade him for anyone. Laurinaitis, Tim Walton. I don't think O.G. Walt gets enough credit for the job he has done here at Ohio State and how good he is. Everybody over there seems to love and be really impressed with Keenan Bailey.
Yep.
As he has just flown up the coaching. So Tyler Bowen has done a pretty good job.
I like Tyler, giant Scotty Scheffler, as I call him. And Scotty's not a small guy. Scotty Scheffler is not a small man, right? Tyler Bowen is giant Scotty Scheffler. He looks a lot. Tyler Bowen's a heck of a nice guy. I think he's a really good recruiter. He's only in his second year here, but I don't know how much he put on the offensive line struggles on him against Indiana and Miami last year, but that's the one guy on the staff I have a little bit of a question about. But even him, I have a good feeling about him, though.
I want to go back to your point on James Laurinaitis because as you mentioned, we've talked about this, and I think James Laurinaitis is the future of Ohio. He's that impressive of a guy. He everything he touches, he does well. I do think he is a head coach at Ohio State somewhere in the future. And I don't have the personal relationship with him that a lot of people here at the station do. This is just me outside looking in. It just seems like that. There's part of that, though, that makes me sad. And the reason is I've been a big proponent that a first-time head coach should not be a coach at Ohio State. So if I'm going to follow that logic, that means I would need to see James leave for a little while and be a head coach somewhere else.
What if he takes over for Ryan Day, who was a first-time head coach at Ohio State?
That could be. That could be, but I feel like be prepared for the growing pains, again, that we saw with Ryan, too, that we're seeing with Jake now. And I think in the long run, James would be just fine. So maybe that's not it. I'm just saying, if I have to follow my personal logic, that makes me sad a little bit because that means I would want to see him leave and then come back. But
I have always said the same thing. That's why I had a little trepidation when Coach Day was hired, and I really liked Ryan Day. And so I wasn't like, oh, this is a bad hire, but I was like, oh, man. First time he was young, he's in his 30s. First time ever head coach is at Ohio State. Now, the good thing about that was Ryan Day, his 2 years here as an assistant coach, he just knocked it out of the park. And, you know, a blessing in disguise was that he was able to be the interim head coach the first 3 games of the 2018 season. I think that helped, you know, so he wasn't, you know, completely like new to it. But yeah, I've always been on the same page. I want to go through some of the transfers that are looking good, maybe some of the true freshmen as well that have been let's start with a true freshman. A true freshman that nobody probably had on their radar to be the first one in this awesome true freshman class to get their black stripe removed, Brock Boyd. He's the most underrated member in this class. The fact that he was ranked number 100 by the recruiting services, the 24/7 Sports Composite's hilarious to me. Even if you initially had him ranked there, as soon as Brian Hartline, because Brian Hartline at the time was the one recruiting him, said, I want him. And by the way, Ryan, Brock Boyd played at a powerhouse program in Texas, put up huge stats. So
produced some pretty good football players over the years.
So it makes no sense. He wasn't a big camp guy. That's probably what it was. He wasn't big going to the 7-on-7 camps. But for him to be ranked as the number 100 wide receiver in the country, you're telling me you think there's 99 better? When Brian Hartline wants him, if I'm a recruiting analyst and Brian Hartline, when he was at Ohio State, had a wide receiver that he wanted, immediately he shoots up my rankings because Brian Hartline, it was the best in the business at.
And
but
that
Brock
usually
Boyd
happens.
looks good. Like, it usually does. But Brock, yeah, he was ranked exactly number 100. Now, again, Buckeye fans out there, is he going to step right in and start as a true freshman? No. But he looks a lot like Anthony Gonzalez out there wearing that number 11, catching everything. He runs great routes. I mean, he's going to play, and he's going to be a stud here one day. But there's, J.J. Smith is obviously the best receiver to ever come through here. You know, he's got to prove it. Chris Carter's not going to give up the mantle quite yet, but JJ's going to shatter all the records this year. And Brandon Ennis looked really good yesterday. He's going to have a big year. We talked about Devin McEwen, lost his black stripe. He looks good. So they've got other guys. Chris Henry Jr. is going to play. Brock Boyd's going to see the field. And a couple more guys here. I mentioned McEwen got his black stripe removed. James Smith is a guy that when Ohio State got him, like, that's a good get. That might be better than a good get. He wasn't all that great at Alabama, but he was solid. And as you know, Ryan, you can't just look at stats. People say, well, he had 2.5 sacks at Alabama. D tackles, you can't really look at their stats. Yeah. And he looks good, man. And he's playing one tech. He's up to 314 pounds. And he's one of those guys when he's out there, you can tell he loves playing football. And I think that's really important. If you're out there and you just kind of like playing football, it's okay, whatever. If you love playing football, I think that's important. You can tell James Smith loves playing football.
And D-line was an area where you had to replace a lot. And, you know, Caden McDonald, those are big shoes to fill in the middle of that defensive line there. And those two gets from Alabama and James Smith and Quay Rousseau, very, very huge gets for this Ohio State team. And if they can, their play can live up to their pedigree here, as they were both 4 and 5 stars coming in to Alabama, that would be huge for this Buckeye defensive line.
And real quick, a couple other guys that are showing out. If you missed the call-in show the previous hour, Jacoby Jackson, the running back, the 7th-year senior. He transferred in from Florida. He was at a JUCO before he went to Florida. He looks good. At the very least, he's going to be a really good number 3 tailback for Ohio State. He runs hard. He's not as – it's funny, compared to C.J. Donaldson, he doesn't even look that big, but he runs a lot harder. He's going to be a better version of what C.J. Donaldson was. And one guy that I thought might be a depth piece this year and maybe down the road might be able to help was Dominic Kelly. He's a corner they got from Georgia. He's got 3 years left. Tell you what, man, he looked good yesterday. And he's not going to start. Jermaine Matthews is going to start. Devin Sanchez is going to start at corner. But Dominic Kelly is going to play. And that's one I did not have on my radar was Dominic Kelly, the transfer from Georgia. All right, up next is That's Trash. This is On the Money.
Your child is sick. With those 4 words, the innocence and joy of childhood disappears. But Starlight has taught us 4 other words that make all the difference. The power of play. Happy kids heal faster. That's why Starlight Children's Foundation delivers happiness through gaming, toy deliveries, and more to hospitals across the country. Learn more at starlight.org.
James Laurinaitis here for my guys at Green & Sons, the premier Kubota dealership in Central Ohio. Green & Sons has all the Kubotas you need to tackle your land and come out a winner. They have zero-turn, skid steers, tractors from 18 to 171 horsepower, and also utility vehicles. My favorite is my RTV Sidekick. The best thing about Green & Sons is they've been family-owned and operated since 1970, and you will love dealing with the Green family and their winning team. Do what I did and check out Green & Sons located in Mount Sterling and Marysville or online at greenandsons.com for all your Kubota needs.
People don't realize that glaucoma is one of the leading causes of blindness.
Because there are often no early symptoms, nearly half of those with glaucoma may not even know they have it until vision loss has occurred.
I was diagnosed with normal tension glaucoma in July of 2020. And what we found out at that point was I had already lost 40% of my sight. And you think it only affects people that are, 75 or older, retired, grandparents, and that's not the reality of it.
I didn't think at all glaucoma was going to affect me because I didn't know of anyone that had glaucoma, no one in my family. When you have glaucoma, you can't get back that sight that you lost. And so early detection and treatment is vitally, vitally important.
Don't miss life's most beautiful moments. Schedule an eye exam today.
National Glaucoma Research, a Bright Focus Foundation program, offers free resources and tips for healthy vision.
Learn how to protect your sight at stopglaucoma.org.
If you haven't thought about Buckeye football today, I'm sorry to tell you that you're dead. Our condolences. Your home of the Buckeyes, the Fan. Scotty Vegas is still offering player props at his kids' soccer games. This is On the Money.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Welcome back to On the Money. 97.1 The Fan, Dave Biddle, Ryan Baker, Isaiah Jacob. Right now it's time for one of our favorite segments. It is That's Trash. Hit it, Isaiah.
Take out the papers and the trash. Or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more.
That's trash.
Oh, man,
All
it's
right.
been a while since I've heard that.
And Ryan, I believe, was the maestro behind that. Okay, I think I'm going to steal one from you guys. I imagine if you guys have a list, this is on it, and you can feel free to piggyback this one. Gino Auriemma, I mean, this guy, I've never liked him because it seems like he's always whining and just has this attitude that I just don't like. And when things are going his way, he tries to act like a nice guy. Anytime anything doesn't go his way, he just, for the last, 30 years, I just haven't liked this guy. And then they lose to South Carolina, got their butts kicked, and ends their winning streak. And he, for some reason, decides to, start something with Don Staley. Not that I'm a huge Don Staley fan, but, and then later on he lied and said the reason he was mad is because she didn't shake his hand before the game. And then there's video of her shaking his hand before the game. So
she made him wait.
Oh, I mean, unbelievable. And why are you lying about it, man? You don't I mean, everything's on video now, especially at a, Final Four basketball game. And then what does he do? You can tell he's forced to make an apology. And he goes out of his way to apologize to South Carolina. Never once mentions the coach by name. Yeah, it was a non-apology. So he acted like a little baby, even though he's an old man, and cried and whined. And then he couldn't just, okay, own it. I screwed up. Everybody would understand that. If you're like, listen, I was caught up in the moment. I'm sorry. She's a great coach. I shouldn't have acted like that. My bad. I own it. And apologize to her. And instead of it was a non-apology apology, but it was mostly just the way he acted in general was trash.
Take out the trash.
So what was not trash was the Columbus Aviators home opener on Friday night. I was there. It was an awesome atmosphere. Historic Crew Stadium wasn't quite sold out, but it was pretty full. I think they had over 15,000 in there for the opener. Very cool setting. Bernie Kosar was there. You saw Cardell Jones out there. It was a very fun night. The crowd was loud. They get their Aviators chants going on, and it was very cool. But with 3:38 left to play on the clock in the first half, it was 8:55. And I know this because I was sitting next to Dave Holmes, old friend of ours, and he was trying to figure out if he was going to be able to do a live shot during this game. Or if the game was going to be over and he could do a shot live for their 11 o'clock news. Well, they went to halftime. It was 9:35. It took 40 minutes to play 3 minutes and 38 seconds of football. Now, there were a couple scores. Both teams had touchdowns. There were some turnovers. But
it wasn't like there was like an ambulance coming on the field and like a major injury.
That game was flying along, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, it came to a major stop, kind of threw everything off. Then you have the halftime performance and the concert for the first game, so that makes things longer. I ended up having to leave because I had to go let dogs out. I had to leave after the third quarter because there was no way I could stay at this thing and be there well after 11 o'clock for the finish. So 40 minutes to play 338, trash.
My first one's on a similar note, Bake. Tomorrow night, Michigan and Yukon will play in a fantastic basketball game.
Oh, don't tell me this tip time.
But it will not start until 8:50 p.m. on a Monday. And every time the national championship game is on a Monday, like I don't like that anyway, but starting it at 8:50 at 9 o'clock is unbelievable.
And I actually believe, Isaiah, that's early compared to the last couple of years.
It's usually past 9.
It's usually past 9 o'clock. This year, they moved it up for us. Now it's at 8:50. But for me, on a Monday night, I'm going to stay up and watch this, but it will be way past my bedtime by the time I actually get to go to bed, and that is trash.
That's why I don't read the newspaper. Because it's garbage. And the editor that let it come out is garbage.
What I will say, though, and we're all on this team, Team Nap is undefeated.
I love naps.
Take yourself a nice nap, and then who cares it's 8:50, right? Get yourself a little nap in if you can. I know you always can't just get a nap in, but if you can get a nap in, that's what I recommend. All right. Next thing that's trash. This depresses me. I'm turning 50 this week. I mentioned it during the call-in show. And, yeah, I mean, I guess the good thing is I don't feel 50, but that when I turned 40, it didn't like really, I was like, okay, whatever. 40's the new 30 or whatever. And people, 50's the new 40. I'm like, for some reason, this one's bothering me. So I'm turning 50, and Isaiah, that's trash.
I love it because it's trash.
I guess it's better than the alternative.
It is. Age is just a number, Bids. Just a number. That's all. My second one. Blue Jackets game last night. Not the way you wanted it to go. Played a pretty good first period, then the rest of the way. Well, that led the players to have a players-only meeting. Well, we're waiting to go in and talk to the players and talk to Rick Bowness. And 10 minutes go by. 15 minutes go by.
No soup for you.
20 minutes go by. I believe one of the beat writers for the team timed it, and it was 24 minutes before we could get into the locker room to do our post game. Now,
that's nothing. You should try covering Ohio State football.
I understand sometimes that goes that, but this is what you're used to. You're not you. You're used to 5 minutes, and you're in there, and 24 minutes, you're out the door. Now, I will say this. It also compounded because we had Final Four games on. So you think you're going to get out of there, go watch the second half of the Final Four game, whatever. It was halftime of that Michigan game before I even got in the car to head home. So then you miss most of the game. And listen, if the CBJ, if this players-only meeting turns their season around and they make it into the postseason, it was all worth it. But right now, that 24-minute wait, trash.
Take out the trash.
Next one for me. Some news coming out about March Madness and the possible expansion to 76-team field. They're expected to finalize it after this season ends. When is there enough teams and enough games? I love March Madness. I love all the games. And I wouldn't be so upset about this if this was a way for us to get more chances to see interesting teams, like people who finish second or third in some of the smaller the one big conferences. I'm sure there's no way they're going to squeeze in more Power 4, Power 5 teams. Maybe we can get Auburn in. Can we get Texas in on the outside? And what it's going to turn into is just more underachieving Big Ten, SEC, ACC teams getting more bids. It says it's supposed to be 24 teams that would compete in 12 games over 2 days. That would be considered the first round. That is trash.
And it's
Man,
Go ahead.
he's scratching me where I itch this morning.
Oh, I know. This gets brought up every year. And you're saying this is going to be implemented for next season, or is it going to be a couple years?
The reports are saying they haven't given a date on when, if it's for next season or not. It just says they expect to finalize a 76-team field after this season ends.
I don't like it, but I will say when they went from 64 to 68, I mean, what is the point of these stupid play-in games? And that's actually been, and not just if you live in Dayton, Ohio. Obviously, if you live in Dayton, it's a huge success. That's actually been fun. So maybe there'll be one of those things where we're all against it. Like, what? 68's perfect. Let's just stay there. And then they go to 76. Okay, that's not too bad. And I will say one more thing. Every year we're getting more Division I teams moving up from Division II to be D1. It used to be there was like 300 D1 like programs. Now there's like 370. So I guess 76 isn't that bad. But like, why are we trying to fix something that's not broken?
More is not always better. Sometimes less is more. And I do believe they said if this goes into effect, it will be for next year. Just they got to do me a favor on this. If they're going to do this, as you said, Isaiah, give me more of the smaller school teams that had great regular seasons. Let's reward the regular seasons of some of these teams for winning their games, even if their schedule isn't that great. And if they were in the Big Ten, they wouldn't have done this or that. And the other thing, if we're going to do this, please, if a team wins a conference tournament, do not make them play in this. They earned their way into the tournament by winning their conference tournament according to your criteria. Do not make them play in these things anymore.
It's funny on our YouTube chat. By the way, very vibrant YouTube chat today, 971 The Fan YouTube page. Chimdy Check was Burner has it. That's trash. This harkens back to last week, Isaiah. You'll like this. He says CB Buckner is his. That's trash. That was mine last week because that was the day after. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And listen, I guess it's better late than never. They should have had this ABS system in like 10 years ago. I mean, tennis had it like 20 years ago, and I knew this was going to be exciting for fans. I did not expect CB Buckner to ring up Eugenio Suarez on a full count, strike three, and then Eugenio's like, nope, let's challenge that. Bam. Oh, got the call wrong. Very next pitch, CB Buckner rings him up. Nope. Taps the helmet. Call gets overturned, and then people went crazy at Great American Ballpark.
We have all known, and real quick, since we mentioned Chimdy Check was Burner.
Chimdy Cheekwa.
Chimdy Microphone Cheekwa.
We've all known CB Buckner is trash for a long time. Now it's just proven. He had, in the first weekend of ABS, he was challenged 8 times. 6 of them were overturned. They were all pitches that he called strikes that were actually balls.
That game against the Reds was hilarious because he was an equal opportunity offender. You had none of the Reds players got thrown out because they won their challenges. The Red Sox ran out of challenges early. Then there were late calls that were just absolutely horrible. They had a player get kicked out. Their manager got ejected.
Did you see his first base call last week?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
yeah.
gosh.
That's even worse than, I mean, in all seriousness, like, and
you're just making
he's so
stuff
bad
up.
at. I know that's way worse than ball strikes because that's hard. I've always said it's not like in football. Like I think being a replay official in football is the easiest job. Being an on-field official in football is tough. These guys are huge guys playing a violent sport, live speed. That's tough. Calling balls and strikes is tough, man. These guys are throwing 100 miles an hour. The ball's moving. I get it. That's tough. But like guys stepping on first base and you're right there and you say, no, he missed the bag. Like, I don't know how these guys keep their jobs, man. We need to bring Angel Hernandez out of retirement just to have some comedic value here.
Oh, gosh. Joe West.
All right. Up next, Ryan Baker's going to tell you the CBJ's path to make the playoffs. That's coming up next on The Money.
We're known for 3 things: games, conversation, and Common Man yelling about things only he cares about. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Common Man here for Hollywood Casino Columbus.
Oh, Mikey, did you know something new is coming and it's right around the corner?
What is it?
Now you can stay while you play. It's the all-new Hollywood Casino Columbus Hotel. It's coming June 12th, and we want you to celebrate with us as we open the doors with a can't-miss concert and festival.
And here's something for you this month. It's the Win Your Way drawings on select Wednesdays and Saturdays. You can score $100,000. Plus, coming in May, it's the Hollywood Tribute
Tribute Concert Series.
Ooh, must be 21 to enter. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Aviators football returns Friday, April 17th, 8 p.m. kickoff. The first 5,000 fans through the gates take home a free team flag. Grab your tickets now at UFLaviators.com. United we fly.
Your child's oral health milestones matter. By age 1, see a pediatric dentist to establish good oral health habits. At 7, see an orthodontist to check your child's bite, teeth, and jaws. Around 15, visit an oral and maxillofacial surgeon to have your child's wisdom teeth examined. Remember, milestones met, healthy teeth set. Visit milestonesmet.org.
At St. Jude, every innovation we make is a moment we give to children with cancer everywhere. But we can't do it without you.
Learn more at stjude.org.
Spring cleaning isn't just for your house, it's for your life. If your job is getting old, it's time to clear the clutter and spring into IT. Go to My Computer Career.
My Computer Career helped me get the skills and certifications I needed to start a new life as an IT professional in months, not years.
Earn the certifications the top employers are looking for right now. Visit mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation to see if it's time to spring into IT. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
T-Mobile has an exclusive bundle for customers 55 and up.
I'm Sarah Bowl.
Yeah, I'm Frank Bowl.
A reliable network is key for us. And with T-Mobile, it's been wonderful. And going to the 55 plus plan saved us so much money.
A lot.
And that's important. Trying to keep costs down. The home internet's been perfect. It's fast, it's quick. The setup was so easy, it took less than 15 minutes.
It was like, if you want simplicity, coverage, reliability, you want the whole package, T-Mobile has it.
Right now, T-Mobile customers 55 and up can get 2 phone lines on America's best network, plus America's fastest 5G home internet for just $30 each.
$30 per month each line with autopay plus taxes and fees. Minimum age 55. Pricing for home internet rely on 2 lines of essentials. Choice 55. $35 connection charge per line required. Best mobile network and fastest 5G home internet based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence Data 2H 2025. All rights reserved.
A friend is someone who knows where you came from. Someone who always shows up when you need them. Someone who's there for the good times and the challenging ones. With comprehensive insurance policies backed by award-winning customer service, Shelter Insurance is committed to being there when you need us most. To find your local agent, visit shelterinsurance.com. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
Hey, folks, it's game day, and the betting's going to be intense, Drew.
You said it, Dave, but a good pregame routine keeps betting responsible.
That's right. You got to pause before you play.
Good call. Sports betting is hot, but it can be risky.
And pausing to set limits is an all-star move.
That's right, Dave. If you bet on sports, pause before you play to set limits, recognize the risk, and know when to stop.
Learn more at pausebeforeyouplay.org.
This is This Date in Reds Baseball with team historian Greg Rhodes.
On this April 5th in 1971, the Reds played their first opener ever at Riverfront Stadium. For 58 years, the opener had been at Crosley Field, so a new routine for opening day fans and for the Findlay Market Parade, which had to change its route. Instead of marching from the market through the west end to Crosley Field, they now marched to the ballpark right through the heart of downtown Cincinnati. A record crowd watched the parade that year, and a record crowd for the game as well. 51,000 shivering fans in the chilly 46-degree weather, and the wind chill was probably even worse given that the Reds lost 7-4 to the Braves. The first opener at Riverfront, April 5th, 1971, this date in Reds baseball.
This Date in Reds Baseball is brought to you by the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, presented by Dinsmore. Celebrating greatness, preserving history, providing inspiration.
After an audit of our programming, the suits here at The Fan decided we needed more baseball. And that common man is stupid. Good news, we fixed one of those problems. Catch the Reds on The Fan all season long. Yay, baseball. All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Dave Biddle named his own dog Parlay. This is On the Money.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
All right, my friends. Our CBJ went from the hottest team in the NHL, maybe the hottest besides the Sabres. I don't know. But at one point, the Jackets, the hottest team in the NHL, to maybe the coldest now. Ryan, we got 5 games left. We're going to get in the playoffs, right? Talk me into this.
As bad as it's been here, I still believe the Jackets are getting in the playoffs. You have lost 6 in a row. You've gone 1-6-1 in your last 8, but yet you're still 1 point out of third place in the Metro, and you're tied points-wise with the Senators, who have the final wild card spot right now due to tiebreakers, the Red Wings, and the Philadelphia Flyers. You also have the Washington Capitals 1 point behind you. If the Blue Jackets, and I know the way they've been playing, this is a big if, but if they go 3-1-1 in their last 5 games, that will put you at 95 points. It sure seems like right now that 95 points will get you in this thing. It doesn't seem like anybody wants it right now. There was a time a couple weeks ago when you're like 96 points, man, you might be squeaking in. Well, now it seems like if you get to that 96, 95 point area, you're going to be okay. The Jackets with 88 points, the Islanders, who are third in the Metro, have 89. So you're right there. The Islanders have actually played one more game than you. So the Islanders only have 4 games left on the schedule. You have 5. So we mentioned there was a players-only meeting last night after the game where the players were like, hey, this is on us now. We've got to make this done. They're heading on a 3-game road trip here. So you're going to play Detroit on Tuesday night. Then you're going to go to Buffalo on Thursday, Montreal next Saturday, next Sunday, a week from today. You're back here home against Boston, and then you wrap up the regular season that following Tuesday against Washington. So the one thing you'll see there, the Red Wings, the Capitals, those are 2 teams that you're fighting for this thing. Those are 4-point games. Those are massive games there. This could be a good time for the Jackets to go on the road after having this players-only meeting where it's just you guys, nothing else, no distractions. I still think they're going to do it, but man, it sure would have been nice if you would have separated a little bit, kind of like Pittsburgh and Boston have done here.
And they kind of had for a while. Like, we did a show one week, and Scotty pulled up like the odds to make the playoffs for the Jackets, and it was like minus 160 or minus 180. Like the very next week, it was like minus 500 something. Like they were almost like not a lock, but like it was looking really, really, really good. I'm with you though, man. I'm gonna, it's a different sport. I'm gonna go Gino Suarez on you. Positive vibes only. They're gonna go at least 3-1-1. Maybe they'll go 4-1 or 5-0. They're gonna get in this thing, and then they're gonna be dangerous because they went from thinking, okay, we don't really have much of a chance, and they went on the crazy run, and they're like, oh, okay, we're in, and now it's like, oh, we might be on the outside looking in. If they can just get in, they can be dangerous. I just love the feel. I know, and you know way more about this than I do. I mean, I love the Jackets, but it's like your thing. I love the future trajectory of this. Not just the team, like just the whole organization just seems like it's on the right track. Your thoughts on that?
I believe so, because you've got Adam Fantilli, and you've got Kirill Marchenko, and you have Zach Werenski, and Adin Matejchuk, who has 13 goals now this season. It sure looks like you have something with Jet Greaves in goal.
And a good GM.
The one thing I will say, though, and you just mentioned it, the GM, I have a feeling if they don't make it, if this collapse continues, this team is going to look a lot different next year. Now, Fantilli and Marchenko and those guys we mentioned will still be here, but will some of the older core, the veteran core, still be here?
Like Charlie Coyle?
That'll be interesting. And I think Coyle has had such a good year. I think he's one guy that they would want to stick around. I'm talking about guys that maybe have been here like a little longer, that maybe they're going to realize it's time to shake this up a little bit and restructure the leadership of this team moving forward. If this collapse happens, and who knows, maybe those wheels are in motion already. Because even if you get in, I don't know if this team is a team that competes for the Stanley Cup. And I've had questions about that all along, even when they were playing well. If this team, I believe they need another very defensive defenseman. I believe they need another goal scorer, and you didn't go get those things. And I thought that's something you should have done after you made the Connor Garland trade and decided that you were going to keep all of these restricted free agents here this year. I think you should have done a little more to go all in towards this season. You talked about the odds to get in the playoffs right now. The Jackets are plus 210 to make it in the playoffs. Some teams around you, the Red Wings plus 175, the New York Islanders plus 200, the Ottawa Senators minus 140, the Philadelphia Flyers plus 145, the Washington Capitals plus 300. So it's interesting there that they have the Flyers of these Metro teams with the best odds to get in, because that seems your best way right now is to be that third team in the Metro.
Man, 2 weeks ago, minus 550 odds for the Jackets to make the playoffs. 2 weeks ago, minus 550. Right now, as you mentioned, plus 210. But they're going to get it done. They're going to get it done. All right, the first hour of the show is in the books. Please stick around for the second hour. This is On the Money.
All the Ohio State conversation you can handle. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
Your Ohio State flagship station. The Fan. Get Eco.
Hey, Jerry. You know how we remind people not to be a sump pump grump this time of year?
I sure do. If people's sump pumps aren't pumpy, they sure can get grumpy.
And down in the dumpy.
But our $89 sump pump inspection can replace all that sump pump grumpiness with happiness.
Even if it doesn't rhyme.
Get Eco.
Our expert sump pump plumbers will make sure your sump pump is working to spec and ready to pump. We'll even do a camera inspection of your downspout drainage system to make sure there aren't any backups causing problems down the line.
And turn your sump pump grump into a flow-it-all, know-it-all.
Get Eco.
Jerry, I'm starting to think not everything we do has to rhyme.
But rhymes help people remember things they like, Aaron. I mean, you like hokey pokey, don't you?
I do like the hokey pokey.
Get Eco.
Eco plumbers, electricians, and sump pump technicians.
Once there was a man who couldn't stand.
A mom who couldn't wait.
A scientific community that said it couldn't be done.
And then you.
And then I.
And then we brought neuromuscular disease into screaming color with the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
For 75 years, our voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
We've willed the impossible into existence.
We've pushed the science,
raised the funds,
shifted the narrative,
and transformed the reality of life with neuromuscular diseases.
For 75 years, we've built communities together,
established the field of neuromuscular medicine,
and made it thrive.
Call that a legacy.
Call it impact.
Call it momentum.
Just call it ours.
Because it's the generations of community heroes that give MDA the strength we have today.
And until neuromuscular disease is a thing of the past, you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
Hey Central Ohio, it's Andrew from Home Team Solutions. And yes, we buy houses for cash the easy way. We've been buying houses for over 20 years and we've seen it all. Whether you've inherited a property, you're behind on payments, the house needs work, or just want to avoid the hassle of listing, we've got you covered. No repairs, no clean out, no stress, just a fair cash offer and you pick the closing date. We've helped hundreds of homeowners sell fast and hassle-free, and we're proud to have 5-star reviews all across Central Ohio and an A+ rating with the BBB. If you're ready to sell your house the easy way, call Home Team Solutions at 614-962-SELL. That's 614-962-7355, or visit us online at selltohometeam.com. Home Team Solutions, local, trusted, and family owned. Again, that's 614-962-SELL, 614-962-7355, or selltohometeam.com.
Broadcasting live from the McDaniel GM Superstore Studios. Driving excellence since 1916. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. WBNS HD1 Columbus.
Good morning, I'm Isaiah Jacob. Last night, the losing streak continued for the Columbus Blue Jackets as they've now dropped 6 games in a row after a 2-1 loss to Winnipeg. With just 5 games left, they find themselves in a 4-way tie for the final wildcard spot in the East. They're back tomorrow night against the Red Wings at 7. In MLB action, the Guardians have a doubleheader with the Cubs today at 1:10 and 4:40. Slade Ciccone on the mound first for Cleveland. And down in Cincinnati, the Reds got a 2-0 win over the Rangers yesterday and will face them again this afternoon at 2:30. The Cavs are back in action today at 6. They host the Pacers. Cleveland needs just 2 wins in their final 5 games to lock up a top 4 seed in the East. And yesterday in March Madness action, Yukon pulled away from Illinois 71-62 to punch their ticket to the national championship. And in the late game, Michigan routed Arizona 91-73. The title game will be tomorrow night at 8:50.
Some people golf on Sunday mornings. Some people place bets on the people playing golf on Sunday mornings. This is On the Money.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Welcome back to On the Money. 97.1 The Fan. Dave Biddle, Ryan Baker filling in for Scotty Vegas, Isaiah Jacob at the controls. We're going to be with you for the next hour. We're going to have a little this or that this hour. But right about now, it's time for the Parlay Party. Hit it, Isaiah. All right. Parlay Party is where we celebrate anything we want to celebrate. Could be a nice parlay that we hit. Could be anything at all, Ryan Baker. What are you celebrating today, my friend?
Well, I'm celebrating the first ever Aviators home game on Friday night. It was a very cool atmosphere there. I want this to work for the city of Columbus because the city of Columbus loves football. It's something else that can help get you through the spring. I think the groundwork is laid here for this to be successful. Hopefully they can put the product on the field that will keep the fans coming because that was a great crowd on Friday night. Definitely celebrating that. Hoping that the Columbus Blue Jackets can get this thing turned around, but regardless, celebrating that they're still in a spot here when maybe they shouldn't be after this 1-6-1 stretch. They're still right there, and if they take care of business, they can get themselves into the postseason. Also, next Sunday at the Blue Jackets game, they're taking on the Boston Bruins at 6 o'clock. We're going to be doing some trivia out on the plaza on that day, so it'll be fun. Hopefully the weather is nice and the fans can come out there. Celebrating the weather that we've had the last couple of days, maybe not the weather that we've had today in the next few, but it sure seems like spring is almost here. Now, I'm not celebrating that means we're going to get 90s soon and 90% humidity. You know I don't like that, Bids. I was built for San Diego, not Texas, but it does seem like maybe the cold days are almost behind us. How about you? What do you celebrate?
Yeah, I'm celebrating the weather we're going to have later this week. It's looking good starting really Wednesday, but really Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It looks like a nice weekend for sure. It's going to get up to 76 on Sunday, so we have a good weekend coming up next week. Celebrating a couple things in baseball. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but the Reds off to a 5-3 start. I was like,
Red louder.
I felt pretty good about the team in spring training, and then like Hunter Green went down, which wasn't so surprised. That Nick Lodolo got a blister again, and I'm thinking, okay, well, this isn't good. We have to look at this objectively. They just lost their top 2 starters, and then their top bullpen arm, young man from West Jefferson, their top lefty out of the bullpen, I should say, Caleb Ferguson. He was hurt, nothing serious, hopefully, oblique. I'm like, oh, God, they're kind of limping into the season. Kind of like last year. Last year they limped in like their offense limped in. This year their pitching was limped. And they're starting out with the Red Sox. I'm like, oh, this might not go well. Hey, it's nothing crazy, but the Reds are off to a 5-3 start. They're going for the sweep over the Rangers in Arlington today, so hopefully the Reds can get that done. But regardless, I like the way they're playing. And as you mentioned, Ryan, the way Rhett Lauder looks, that guy just knows how to pitch. He reminds me of like Bronson Arroyo with better stuff. Like one of those guys that's just like an artist on the mound, but Rhett's got better stuff than Bronson. I mean, that's why Rhett was the number 7 overall pick of the draft. Today, the Reds have Chase Burns going. He looked really good. So celebrating that the Reds off to a solid start. And in Ohio State baseball, real quick, guys, They had one of the worst seasons in Ohio State baseball history last year. Justin Hare took over the program. He took over a mess. They went 13-37 overall last year. 13-37. It gets worse. They were dead last in the Big Ten, 5-25. All right? How about our boys now? Again, 13-37 last year, 5-25 in the Big Ten. Right now, they're on a 6-game winning streak. They're 16-13 overall. They're 6-5 in the Big Ten. They've already won 3 more games than they won last year overall. They've already won 1 more game than they won in the Big Ten overall, and they have 19 more Big Ten games to play. So good job by Justin Hare and the Buckeyes. That's a massive turnaround. Keep it going. We're going from the worst team in the Big Ten to, top third of the Big Ten. Nice work. Keep it going, baseball Buckeyes. Isaiah, what are you celebrating?
I'm celebrating the first weekend so far where it's felt like the summer isn't that far away. I went to the Clippers game on Friday night. They've been railing off some wins. And they ended up losing the game 11-10. But any baseball game that finishes 11-10 was a damn good baseball game to be at. At the end of the 6th inning, it was 9-2, and the Clippers were winning. And then Indianapolis just started teeing off on the Clippers, unfortunately, but still a fantastic baseball game. And another thing I'm excited about is Travis Bazzana, Guardians first-round pick in Columbus. He's been playing for the Clippers. It's had a fun little weekend. On Thursday, he went ahead and hit a little walk-off winner for the Clippers to win 9-8. And so right now, he's the only top 10 pick who hasn't been called up yet. So I'm just counting down the days till we get Bazzana out of Columbus and up to Cleveland. But while he's here, go ahead and watch him down at Columbus. Also, Guardians doubleheader today. Getting my Guardians going. They have the Cubs looking for the sweep today. They play at 1:10 and 4:05. And then at 6 o'clock, the Cavs are on. So it's my favorite time of the year. Cleveland sports really heating up. And I love me some Gardos and some Cavaliers.
Man, that draft with Bazzana and then Chase Burns was the number 2 pick. I mean, Connor Griffin was the 7th pick in that draft. Kurtz was in that draft.
Kurtz was 6.
Charlie Condon. That will go down as one of the best drafts we've seen, probably. It's very early. Connor Griffin's 19 years old, but he's going to probably be the best player from that draft class, and that is a great draft class. Now, hopefully our guy, Burns will be the best, but we'll see.
I mean, Nick Kurtz, hard to argue with his year last year.
Yep.
Isaiah, I've always said, for the price, the best thing in this city is a Clippers game over at Huntington Park. It's not expensive to get in, and you can just enjoy that ballpark. It's beautiful. And, hey, the Guardians were patient with Chase DeLauder, so maybe that with Travis Bazzana will work out the same, because DeLauder is man, I don't know if there's a better hitter to start the season in Major League Baseball than him right now.
On Friday, another 3-hit game, another home run. Like, he's been incredible, and it makes me want them to pull up Bazzana even more. Now seeing how good DeLauder's been, I'm like, man, I just want to see these young hitters come up and play, and it's been awesome watching his start to the season.
You let Bazzana stay in Columbus for a little bit,
Let's watch him for a month at least.
Get past the point where it doesn't count as a year of service time for him, so you get him for 6.5 years.
Are you saying that's what the Pirates did with Connor Griffin?
I think they called him up too early, but I think they're going to sign him to an extension. I think they have like a handshake agreement that they're going to get an 8-year contract or a 9-year contract done.
I believe they've put some kind of exception in there with that too recently in the Major League Baseball contracts, and he was going to be the exception for them. So you're right. I don't think it matters with Connor Griffin on that year of service.
The Chris Bryant rule where the Cubs, he was like the number 1 prospect in baseball, and then he hit
down for 10 games.
He hit like 800 in spring, and they're like, no, you didn't make the team. And he immediately got mad about it, and that relationship was never really mended. But look at that draft. Oh, by the way, J.J. Weatherholt was in that draft. So here you go. So this is just 2 years ago? The 2024 MLB draft. Let's talk about this real quick. All right, Bazzana, number 1 to the Guardians. Chase Burns, number 2 to the Reds. Charlie Condon, 3 to the Rockies. Nick Kurtz, number 4 to the A's. Hagen Smith, pitcher for the White Sox. Caglione for the Royals. That's another good one. Weatherholt for the Cardinals. I was wrong. Connor Griffin was not the 7th pick. Weatherholt was. Connor Griffin was the 9th pick by the Pirates. Great pick by the Pirates, obviously. Christian Moore was a good pick by the Angels at 8. Seaver King. I mean, that's going to go down.
What a name.
Even Cam Smith, who the Cubs drafted and then traded to the Astros as part of the, who was the big time?
Tucker.
Yeah, exactly. Tucker, the big time outfielder they brought in last year. Cam Smith might have a good career. That is a fantastic draft. Absolute fantastic. And I think I know it's we don't know a lot of the names, but I think the MLB draft becomes a little bit more interesting every year because college baseball seems to grow. More and more of the players now are coming from the college ranks as opposed to the high school ranks, especially in the first round. So, all right, let's move right along here. Monday's national title game, tomorrow night's national title game. Michigan is a 7.5-point favorite. Now, Scotty talks about this a lot. Like when he's betting, he tries to think about, before he looks at the point spread, he tries to think of what he would set it at. And I was thinking, I bet it'll be like the way Michigan just destroyed Arizona, who a lot of people thought were going to beat Michigan. I was like, I'm guessing like 8.5, 9.5. And it came out at 7.5. So I'm like, ooh, a little lower than I thought. Maybe I should bet on that. And you think maybe it's a little too high. Explain.
Danny Hurley, right?
Yeah.
And Yukon. They've won 2 of the last 3 national championships. And I know that doesn't mean anything for this year, but I just think Danny Hurley is such a good coach. He's going to find a way to keep this thing close. I think when I first saw the matchup, I think I figured it would probably be around 5. So when I saw 7, I was like, oh, wow, that's a little bit. And also, it's not just, just the numbers. We talked about some of them earlier. Hurley's 19-5 in the NCAA tournament, 18-1 in his last 19. He's 11-0 from the Sweet 16 on in his career. He's 14-0 against the spread from the second round on in his career in the NCAA tournament. There's just so many numbers there with Yukon, and I understand Michigan looked impressive as hell last night. They looked like the best team in the country and then some.
And they have been this entire time.
I wonder, though, if there's a regression. Like, if that was the best Michigan, if we saw the best Michigan last night, if they put everything into that game against Arizona, because a lot of people were saying that was the national championship game last night. Those were the 2 best teams. Whoever wins that is the national champion regardless. I wonder if Michigan heard that, and I wonder if Michigan thought. Now, the one thing for Michigan is as good of a coach as Danny Hurley is, I think Dusty May's probably that good too. He's right there with him. These are the 2 best coaches in the country. So the length of Michigan is concerning, but Illinois is a pretty long team as well, and Yukon didn't have much trouble with that. So,
up next is This or That. This is On the Money.
Unlike your deadbeat uncle, we'll never leave you stranded in a ditch when you were 6. This promo may have been a touch too specific. The Fan.
Hey, folks, it's game day, and the betting's going to be intense, Drew.
You said it, Dave, but a good pregame routine keeps betting responsible.
That's right. You got to pause before you play.
Good call. Sports betting is hot, but it can be risky.
And pausing to set limits is an all-star move.
That's right, Dave. If you bet on sports, pause before you play to set limits, recognize the risk, and know when to stop.
Learn more at pausebeforeyouplay.org.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here from my friends at High Bank Distillery Co. It's well known High Bank is my go-to when I want an award-winning whiskey, but did you also know that they make the best vodka in America? They have 3 incredible spots here in Central Ohio where the food is just as good as what's in the glass. They've got something for everyone, and get this, kids eat half off every Monday, so whether you're sipping on the best vodka in America or simply grabbing a meal with family and friends, High Bank delivers every time. Find a location and a menu at highbankco.com. Dine, drink, distill at High Bank.
Why choose between getting things done and doing things with the ones you love? With Kroger same-day pickup and delivery, it's easy to shop the same great prices and quality you'd find in store. We'll bring your groceries right to you in our refrigerated trucks, so you can spend time on what matters most. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Save $20 on your first Kroger pickup or delivery order of $75 or more. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
We can come the day you call us.
We're 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
We make junk disappear. All you have to do is point.
Brian, I've been meaning to ask you something.
Okay, ask away.
Sometimes when we're talking, I hear a little sparkling sound.
Is it when one of us says, all you have to do is point?
There it is. Did you hear that?
That's the sound of magic happening.
Magic? Like we can come the day you call us? Wow.
Wow.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
James Laurinaitis here for my guys at Green & Sons, the premier Kubota dealership in Central Ohio. Green & Sons has all the Kubotas you need to tackle your land and come out a winner. They have zero-turn skid steers, tractors from 18 to 171 horsepower, and also utility vehicles. My favorite is my RTV Sidekick. The best thing about Green & Sons is they've been family-owned and operated since 1970, and you will love dealing with the Green family and their winning team. Do what I did and check out Green & Sons located in Mount Sterling and Marysville or online at greenandsons.com for all your Kubota needs.
For 25 years, the Library of Congress Veterans History Project has collected and preserved the experiences of America's heroes. From original letters to oral histories, these first-hand accounts bring history to life, one voice at a time. With over 120,000 stories collected, each reveals the courage, sacrifice, and service of our veterans. But many remain untold. Help our nation reach 125,000. Share a story. Ensure a legacy. Visit loc.gov/vets today.
Being diagnosed with leukemia, lymphoma, myeloma, or one of over 100 other types of blood cancer makes people want more time to do the things they love. That means more time to be artists, prom dates, world travelers, and moms. We are Blood Cancer United, the world's leading organization focused solely on blood cancer research, support, and advocacy. We do the most for more people with blood cancer, so people with blood cancer can do more of whatever they want. Blood Cancer United. Join us at bloodcancerunited.org.
Recalculating route. Estimated arrival time. Never.
For people with nasal congestion, snoring, or sleep apnea, finding a solution feels like a never-ending road trip.
First stop, my primary doctor. Then the pharmacy. Then a sleep specialist. Then an ENT.
What if there was just one destination for all your problems?
Welcome to Advent, your one-stop solution for nasal congestion, snoring, and sleep apnea for over 20 years. Unlike many other practices, we focus exclusively on these conditions, so you get comprehensive care in one location. Over 95% of patients with severe nasal breathing issues report improvement. Plus, most insurance is accepted for our effective 20-minute in-office treatments.
You have arrived at Clear Breathing.
I'm Yolanda Harris. I'm a journalist at 10 TV News. I don't just report about our community, I belong to it. And that's why we care so deeply about getting it right. And when local journalism is done right, it moves. It moves you to act, to verify, to volunteer. And yes, it moves your heart through the kind of human storytelling that stays with you wherever you are. And at 10 TV, we're here for all of it. These are the stories that move Central Ohio.
Bishop and Friends.
The director knew who she is. I'm comforted a little by the fact that my kids did not know, especially NBC, as a 14-year-old.
Bishop and Friends, sponsored by Diamond Cellar.
Weekdays from 9 to noon on The Fan. Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Partly sunny skies for us on this Easter Sunday with daytime highs getting into the low 50s and breezy winds. And then for tonight, we'll see partly cloudy skies with areas of frost developing toward daybreak with lows in the 30s. For Monday, we'll see mostly sunny skies and a little bit warmer as highs get into the mid to upper 50s with breezy winds. For The Fan, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfalo with the 10 weather impact forecast.
The radio couldn't contain us, so we've taken over YouTube. Catch Morning Juice weekday mornings at 6 by searching 971 The Fan. Do it. Scotty Vegas can't even pronounce most of the names of the tennis players he bets on. He doesn't care, as long as they win. You are listening to On the Money.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Welcome back to On the Money, right here on The Fan. Dave Biddle, Ryan Baker, Isaiah Jacob. Scotty Vegas is on assignment. Happy Easter, everybody. And right about now, it's time for This or That. Hit it, Isaiah.
Here they come, yo. Here they come. Here they come, yo. Here they come. Here they come. This or that. This or that. This or that. This or that.
All right. For years, I've had a problem with this rule in baseball. I'm already giving away my which way I'm going to lean here. All right. So, I'm not talking about losing a ball in the sun. Ball's hit in the outfield. It's hit right to an outfielder, and he misjudges it, right? And if he misjudges it and then goes to try to get it and hits off his glove barely, that's an error. Misjudges it so bad that he then doesn't even get his glove on it, Nope, that's not an error. That's not an error. That's a base hit. Are you guys getting with that should be an error?
Yeah, I've always had a hard time understanding that one. As far as, well, you totally misjudged, or like when guys pop up and the wind's blowing or whatever and they miss it, but as long as it doesn't hit off their glove is not an error. Yeah, I've always kind of had an issue with that. I always thought that was a little weird, especially from playing softball a lot in my adult life and being an outfielder, and like, well, how could you misjudge that so bad? Like, yeah, I think it's kind of hard to quantify, but I think you know it when you see it. So, yeah, I think it probably should be an error.
Yeah, I've always felt strong about it because it literally, if you use the word, its literal meaning, it is an error. You erred. And again, I get, it's not the same as losing a ball in the sun. You misjudged the ball, and then what makes it even more crazy is if you get close enough and you ticket the ball with your glove, that's an error. But if you barely misses your glove, not an error. But like everything else was the same. It should be an error, absolutely, in my book. What do you think, Isaiah?
I can also relate, Bake, because whenever I've played in men's league softball, when I've completely missed the ball in the outfield, my friends do not act like it was not an error. Every single time, if I misjudge the ball and it hits the ground, whether it hits my glove or not, if you don't catch it, all your fellow players are going to keep you pretty accountable. So I'd say, yeah, it's an error.
I think it's also...
There it is.
I think it's also weird, like in some of the baseball stat, like defensive metrics, where this guy gets to more balls or close to him and it goes off its glove and it's an error. Well, this guy wouldn't have even gotten to it.
Like, or Ellie gets to a lot of balls and then throws them away. Guys never even would have got there, and then but Ellie's throwing it into the third row, so you have to give him an error.
Some of those defensive metrics are weird when it comes to stuff like that.
Yes. Isaiah? No, who's up next? Ryan, sorry.
All right, so it's Easter Sunday, so I was going to go with a couple of Easter-type food things here. Good. Easter Sunday, are you getting with ham or are you getting with prime rib?
Well, I will always take prime rib. Maybe if you said lobster or prime rib, it would be a tough call. But no, I love prime rib. But I will say my wife she makes ham every year on Easter. She's making ham today. I'm looking forward to having some ham. But man, I'm getting with prime rib if I had the choice. Maybe I can call up Molly and be like, hey, can we do prime rib instead? Brian Baker is making me hungry. But I'm getting with prime rib, but I like both, Isaiah.
I'm in the same spot. I would. We always have ham, but if I could choose, I would pick prime rib.
And I'm gonna make it a sweep. I'm gonna go prime rib as well. I actually am not the biggest fan of ham. Now there's some out there anyway, and then you make them, they're pretty good, but usually, and I know this is in the minority, I'll usually take turkey over ham too. So I'm definitely gonna go prime rib.
As we discussed earlier in the show, the Jackets trying to hold on to some playoff hopes here. I'm looking ahead at their schedule because we talked about how their odds are a little bit longer than some of the other teams that are, in contention in the wild card. And I'm sure the reason is because their schedule is pretty brutal. The rest of the way, they pretty much only play teams that are either already in the playoffs or are fighting for a wild card spot. Right now, Detroit, right along with them in the wild card hunt. Buffalo already in, Montreal already in, Boston already in, Washington as well, right on the edge. So with those teams lined up, if they do make it in, that would tell me that they're playing some pretty darn good hockey here to close out this season. If the Jackets make it into the playoffs, they will win a series.
I am not getting with that, and hopefully that's just reverse psychology.
So I don't think they're going to win a series either, because I think it's going to be very hard. The path you're probably in is that third in the Metro, and that means you're playing the Pittsburgh Penguins. And the Pittsburgh Penguins have just been a nemesis of yours for so long. Now, is that better than being the second wild card and having to play that number one seed, whoever it is, whether it's Carolina, whether it's Buffalo, or whether it's Tampa?
Yes.
I don't know.
Let's get that monkey off our back.
I feel like Tampa, there's a little bit of good mojo there. Can you beat them? I don't know. Carolina, the last game was bad, but you beat them a couple games ago. And Buffalo's a team just trying to get over the hump as well. Maybe I would rather have that second wild card, and I'd feel a little better than playing the Penguins. Maybe that's just a history thing, but yeah, I just don't think that the Jackets, and I don't know if I ever thought that they were going to win a series in the playoffs.
That's the hard part too. Is throughout the season there were so many points where they looked so good, but it was like, can they get there? Can they get in? And when they get in, what will they do? I'm looking at the rest of the schedule. We can't do a clean sweep here because that's just bad radio. So I'm going to go with they will win the darn series if they get in, because this slate here, if they can get in, that means that they've turned it around. So I'm going to win it.
All right, we all love national champion Will Howard, right? Do we all agree about that? All right, let me ask you guys this. Are you getting with Will Howard at some point will be an NFL starting quarterback? And I don't mean starter gets hurt and he takes over for a game or two. Like it doesn't have to start all 17 games either, however you define it. But he will win a starting quarterback job at some point in the NFL. You getting with that or no?
I am not getting with that, and I don't know if I was ever getting with that. I think Will's going to be in the league for 15 years as a backup, and I think he's going to be a backup that, as you mentioned, like your starting quarterback gets hurt, you need him for half the season. I think will go in, and he'll be okay. He'll keep your season afloat. I just don't know if you're ever going to come into a year and be like, this guy is our starter. I just don't. I think Will's going to have a long career, and it's going to be as a backup.
I agree with you. I see, and not their games are not exactly similar, but like a Mike Tomczak type. Or again,
Chase Daniel.
Yeah, or I'll use a Michigan guy, Chad Henne. And Chad Henne has a cannon for an arm, had a cannon for an arm, but couldn't really, run. Will does not have a cannon, but, accurate. Strong enough arm, but he can hurt you with his legs. Heady guy, good leader. I'm with you. I see Will sticking in the NFL for a long time. I think he will start a game, games plural, but it might be because the starter got hurt. I don't see him winning a starting job without the starter getting hurt. What do you think, Isaiah?
I'm in the same spot as you guys, but I would not be completely shocked if at some point he did, just because of the way the NFL is laid out right now, where he could get in for 1 or 2 games for the Steelers. If he looks decent, I mean, there's teams that are going to take flyers on guys, and we've seen it over and over again with some of these backup quarterbacks that have had small stints of looking pretty good, and the NFL teams giving them a shot to be, their starting quarterback. So I probably lean he won't be, but I wouldn't be shocked if he was either.
Like Malik Willis. Jeez. And that's interesting time for him to sign in Miami. I mean, there's no brainer what they gave him, and then they just get rid of all of their weapons. Like Malik, maybe next year we'll have some weapons for you.
You got to think they're hoping Carnell Tate slips to 11 or wherever it is they're picking at. I don't know about Isaiah, I guess, on this one, but I would assume that we all love Reese Cups. I mean, I don't know how you can't. So I'm going to pull a Scotty Vegas here, and I'm going to go a this, that, or the other. Are you getting with the Reese's Egg, the Reese's Big Cup, or just the normal Reese Cup is the superior Reese's product?
Whew. That's one of those you can't go wrong. I'm going to go original. I'm going to go with the original. You can't go wrong. I like all three.
So I know a lot of people love the Reese's Eggs this time of year, and I do too. They're very good. I am going to go with, I love the peanut butter, so I'm going to go with the Big Cup is the way to go on the Reese's.
I'm in the same boat, Bake. I'm also a Big Cup guy. The peanut butter is so good. And for me, and some people are going to hate this, but I am a huge milk drinker, and so there's nothing that would make me happier than a Reese's Big Cup and just a big glass of milk. All right, fellas, how about this one? NFL draft approaching, and as we get closer and closer, people are wondering what the Bengals and Browns will do. And my thoughts on both these teams being in the state of Ohio is there's no reason the Bengals and Browns shouldn't walk away in every single draft with at least one Buckeye. It would just make sense with how good Ohio State has been. And every year it feels like they don't do that. Will this be the year that the Bengals and Browns in the first top 10 pick, they both will walk away with a Buckeye?
I'll say no. Now, your Browns have done a better job of it than my Bengals for sure. I mean, Denzel Ward, and many others. Even last year getting Quinshawn in the second round. Previous year getting Mike Hall in the second round. They got DeJuan Jones in the fourth round. I mean, the Bengals have stocked up on Michigan guys. Like Chris Jenkins, who's a complete bust as a second-round pick. I hope so. I hope it's something like Carnell to the Browns at 6, and my dream would be Caleb Downs to the Bengals at 10. But no, I am not getting with that. I think one might, and it'll probably be the Browns, but I'll say no.
Yeah, I'm going to say no, too. If the Browns, to me, are sitting there at 6 and Carnell Tate is on the board, that has to be the move. Also at 6, say Carnell Tate is gone, but Caleb Downs is on the board. I know the Browns need more offensive help. They need receivers. They need offensive linemen.
Yeah.
I think Caleb Downs is the best player in the draft. I don't know how you pass on him. And if somehow he gets to 10, I think if somehow Caleb or Sonny gets to 10, I think the Bengals are sprinting to the podium.
You would think I could tell you many times. One, the best example, I was driving home from an Ohio State spring game. It was the day of the NFL draft, obviously. And I was hoping the Bengals were going to get Chris Gamble. And he fell. And I'm listening to the NFL draft on the way home from Ohio State's spring game. And it says with the 26th pick of the 2004 NFL draft, whatever it was, the Cincinnati Bengals select Chris. And I'm like, yes! Perry, running back, Michigan. I literally almost drove my car into a ditch on Neal Avenue. I'll never forget that. And who ended up being a much better pro? Chris Gamble, obviously, was taken 2 picks later by the Panthers. Go ahead, Isaiah. I'm sorry.
I'm going to say that they will not walk away both with Buckeyes. I think the Browns will walk away with Carnell Tate, I hope. And I think the Bengals, for once, to no fault of their own, I don't think there's going to be a Buckeye available when it gets to 10. I think they're all going to be gone, unfortunately. And it's so funny because in our minds, it is so easy every year for these teams to just, if you want great PR, if you want the fans to love you, just draft Buckeyes because they're going to be great. And this year, I think the Browns hopefully will finally do this. And the Bengals, they won't even have a chance.
We talked about the Buckeyes in this year's draft. Up next, we're going to talk about the 2026 Buckeyes. This is On the Money.
When you see a Gravely mowing the grass, you're looking at over 100 years of ingenuity in action. You're seeing a rugged, durable machine professional lawn service companies have relied on for generations. Or maybe you see a homeowner who demands the best, cutting their own lawn like the pros, whether mowing or on a trailer between jobs. When you see a Gravely, you're seeing greatness at work. Take your lawn mowing up a notch with a Gravely. See the full line at your local dealer.
Some journeys start small, with small pause and big purpose.
Look how little fly, you sweet girl.
Every great partnership begins with a first step.
Bella, let's go.
Guiding them through the world so one day they can guide someone through life. With shared experience, confidence grows, and the path becomes clear. It takes time, patience, and love. But the reward lasts a lifetime.
Good girl, Bella.
You don't just raise a puppy. You raise a future. Become a Dogs Inc. puppy raiser. Give a dog a purpose. Give someone hope.
Learn more at dogsinc.org.
Wrinkles, gray hair, and hearing loss are common signs of getting older. But being short of breath, having tightness in your chest, coughing, and wheezing are not. If you are experiencing these symptoms, you may be one of the millions of people who are living with a condition called COPD but don't know it. Early diagnosis and treatment can add years of better breathing to your life. For more information, talk to your doctor and visit copdfoundation.org today.
During this 10-second promo, Rothman will lose money gambling on something.
People like you come here and blow the family nest egg that built this town.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan. If you can't find something to bet on, you're not trying hard enough. You're listening to On the Money.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Man, spring ball just flies by every year. So the Buckeyes now 8 practices in the books. They had the Student Appreciation Day practice yesterday, which included some live scrimmaging, which is awesome, seeing some real football out there. So 8 practices down, 6 practices to go, and then the spring game. Spring game is technically the 15th practice, so we're already more than halfway through spring. Let's talk about some of the biggest developments so far. I definitely think, guys like some of these transfers that are more than living up to the billing, like James Smith. And I don't think any of these guys are going to be like All-Americans. Hopefully they are. James Smith is looking good. Quay Rousseau, his best friend, another Bama transfer. He's looking good at defensive end. Earl Little Jr. did give up he was a little late yesterday getting over to Brandon Ennis on a nice little touchdown from Julian Sand to Brandon Ennis on a misdirection play, but Earl Little Jr. looks good out there. Christian Allegro. I guess I see these defensive guys they brought in. Terry Moore's another one. John Walker. Again, no superstars, but it's like these are all like good players. John Walker, I have a little bit more trepidation than I do about than James Smith. I think John Walker's film at UCF was okay. I think Buckeye fans are excited about him because he almost was a Buckeye coming out of high school. He was a big-time recruit. But just based on what I saw at UCF, I think he's going to be solid here. James Smith looks like he could be more of a difference maker. But the point is, Dominic Kelly's another one that they brought in, a DB from Georgia. They brought in all these transfers on defense, and I think they hit on all of them. Again, not that these guys are stars. I mean, these guys are all going to be good players for Ohio State.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting when we talk about this era of college football and the transfers. And Ohio State is doing the transfers, but they're still trying to develop people. So the linebacker position with Christian Allegro and Peyton Pierce and Riley Pettijohn's obviously not out there in spring. But then you got a guy like Garrett Stover, who was an Iron Buckeye and just totally transformed his body and is a monster. And there's a starting spot there that's up for grabs. And could he go in there and pull that over a Christian Allegro who they brought in? Or can he force his way onto the field in 3 linebacker packages like Peyton Pierce did last year? I think is interesting. You mentioned Dominic Kelly, who was brought in at depth at that cornerback spot. How is it going to be in that defensive backfield with Earl Little? It seems like he's going to be the nickel, but could Dominic Kelly play so well on the outside that they bumped Jermaine Matthews into that nickel? We all believe Devin Sanchez is going to be one of those starting cornerbacks at the outside. Terry Moore, it sounds like it's been a little bit slower for him getting used to things at the safety position compared to some of the other transfers. So the defensive side of the ball, and the way Ohio State does it, we're bringing in transfers, but we still got guys in-house that are developing and going to be good players too.
TJ Alford's another one that's having a good spring at linebacker, redshirt freshman. As you mentioned, Riley Pettijohn, they're really close, both redshirt freshmen. Both saw the field a little bit last year. Riley's going to be a really good player. Yeah, he's missing spring, but it's like he's missing contact drills. Like he's still out there when they're doing light linebacker drills and stuff like that. So it's still good seeing him out there. He's where I see him out there. I'm like, wait a minute. Arvell Reese is out there? No, Riley switched from number 20 to number 8. And then I see number 20 out there thinking it's like Riley Pettijohn. No, that's Sincere Johnson. So you got all these
monster himself.
Oh, God, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I like seeing CJ Santa. I don't know if CJ Santa is going to be a great linebacker here, but I see a true freshman out there at 6'2", 240, 6'3", 240, wearing the number 36. And I'm not saying he's going to be the next Tom Cousineau or the next Marcus Merrick or the next Chris Spielman, but I'm hoping he is. Just seeing a Buckeye seeing a Buckeye linebacker wearing the number 36. I mean, that's taking me back to my childhood. And Brian Roll was a really good linebacker, but I thought that would be something like every couple of years we'd have a stud linebacker wearing that number 36. But yeah, TJ Alford's looking good. You make a great point about Garrett Stover. Is he going to be a starting linebacker this year? Probably not, because Allegro is going to start. Now, Allegro is also going to play some defensive end. They're going to move him around. They really like Peyton Pierce, obviously. He's going to play. Riley Pettijohn, TJ Alford's in the mix. But here's the thing about Garrett Stover. He's going to play on defense, even if he's not a starter. He's going to play all over special teams. And as you mentioned, if you're an Iron Buckeye, that's like becoming a made man in the mafia, okay? Like, that is like, I mean, they give out 4 of those. If they gave out 20, that would be impressive if you were one of the 20. Of 105 guys, and Mickey makes you one of the 20 Iron Buckeyes, 4.
But these aren't Keno numbers here.
4. Yeah, exactly. And now, it doesn't mean you're going to step right in and be a starter, because Lincoln Kienholz is the one exception to the rule. But I would say backup quarterback's a little bit different. Everybody else who's been an Iron Buckeye,
Austin Saravel,
has played it exactly. Has not only played, usually they're a starter. So I'm not ruling it out that Garrett Stover won't be a starter. I doubt he will be. He's got 3 years left. He's just a third-year sophomore. I think he's going to be a special teams demon this year. They also say he's one of the fastest guys on the team. I'm learning new things about Garrett Stover. But yeah, man, if they name you Iron Buckeye, you're going to play. Typically, you're going to be a starter. Garrett's going to be more of a top backup on defense and be all over special teams. And James Laurinaitis loves him. James has done a fantastic job with that room. How do you lose 2 top 10 picks out of your room? Just out of your room, you lose 2 top 10 picks in Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles, probably. And you look at this room now, deep and talented.
2 top 10 picks that you fought to be linebackers, too, because Sonny was a safety. Arvell, they had toyed with being a defensive end, and James comes in and is like, nope, those guys are linebackers, and they're both obviously what they're going to be. Somebody I want to ask you about, Joshua Perry was talking about this the other day.
He was a really good linebacker. Yeah, Olentangy and start.
Number 37 though, not number 36.
Yeah.
Tavian St. Clair.
Yeah, he looked good yesterday.
And Joshua Perry said, "I'm not trying to say he's challenging Julian Sayin. Julian Sayin is the starter."
Yeah.
But he said the difference between Tavian St. Clair from last year to this year was kind of night and day, and you could tell he'd put in the work, and he looks like next.
No doubt about it. And yeah, Ryan Day's not, because if somebody hasn't already been the starting quarterback, Ryan's going to let that go till like the last possible moment. Even when it was Justin Fields against like Gunnar Hoke, it was like 2 weeks before the opener, before he gave the job to Fields. Really, if you watch them out there, and I'm a huge Sayin fan, and St. Clair looks good too. If you just watched them and Ryan Day came out and said, "Hey, we actually have a quarterback competition here," that would be more reasonable than even last year. And I, like you and I both love Lincoln Kienholz. Ryan Day knew 100% that Julian Sayin was going to be his quarterback, but he didn't announce it till like 2 weeks before. Said at one point it was 50-50 during camp. These are things that coaches have to say at press conferences. Tavian St. Clair looks really good, and he's got 4 years left, which I love. But yeah, Ryan's making it clear, like Julian is the guy. But I agree with Joshua. I mean, Tavian, last year I was impressed with his size and his maturity. He wasn't just, he carried himself more like he had been there a couple years and not like a kid that should still have been in high school. I like when they went live a few times, he was more than willing to go take on a linebacker, and he's a big guy, Tavian. What you see now is Tavian's more confident throwing the ball. He knows the offense better, obviously. He's been here years. He's got a year under his belt. It's his second time going through spring. He's definitely next. And listen, I think Luke Fahey somewhere is going to be a good college quarterback. He's 5'11". He throws a really good ball. He's quick running. I don't think it's going to be here. Not here at the fan studios. I don't think it's going to be here in Columbus. But I think Luke Fahey, the true freshman, who's going to be a third-string quarterback, he throws a good ball, and I think he's going to be a good quarterback somewhere. I doubt it's going to be here because Tavian St. Clair is going to take over for Sayin next year. They got Brady Edmonds coming in after that. So, I don't know. I mean, Luke Fahey, he was really good in high school, and if Ryan Day handpicks you, that should say a lot right there. And again, he throws a good ball, but yeah, if you're a Buckeye fan out there, be excited about Tavian St. Clair. But Julian looks good to me, too.
And the one thing you could see last year when you watched the 3 quarterbacks throw the football, if you were on field at warm-ups or you saw them at practice, was Julian's ball, like it comes out quick. It's a pretty ball. It looks different. Lincoln kind of had that baseball throw a little bit still. And Tavian St. Clair, there was no doubt who had the strongest arm of all 3 of them. It was Tavian, and he kind of that 3-quarter whip. And it sounds like he's a little more, they've worked on his mechanics some and whatnot, but the arm strength, there was no doubt about the arm talent of Tavian St. Clair.
No doubt about it. And you can see his mechanics getting better. Like, he is coming more over the top. He's doing, and I think thought he did a good job of getting his legs. That's where you get your power from. If you're throwing the ball, like, obviously you get most of your power from your legs. And he always did a good job, I thought, using his legs. You can see him stressing that more, Ryan, stepping into his throws, stepping up in the pocket. As you said, he's going to go back to that 3-quarter throw every once in a while, that 3-quarter angle, but he's going more over the top now, which is what Ryan Day's trying to get him to do, and Billy Fessler too, who's a guy that when I was talking about the coaches before, I left him out. young guy that's impressive that Ryan Day really likes that was with Chip Kelly at UCLA, and he's done a really good job. Billy Fessler, a young guy, doing a good job with the quarterbacks over at Ohio State. So that's an impressive room, really impressive room. Usually it's like the third string guys, like some walk-on they bring in or something like that, or they even have a fourth string guy that they brought in who might be the third string.
Justin Martin,
who was at UCLA, then he was at Maryland. I tend to think, and we'll see. I mean, Fahey was taking most of the reps with the third team, and then we'll see. One of those guys will be third string, but they've got some good depth in that room. They didn't have to bring in like an Eli Brickhandler, like the young man they brought in last year, or Tristan Gebbia.
Gunnar Hoke, who you talked about before.
Or Chugginoff. That's been like the kind of, this guy's like he looks like a body double of Tavian St. Clair out there. No, he's not as good as Tavian St. Clair. Some people were wondering when they brought him in, is he going to be the backup? And I'm like, no, Tavian's going to be the backup. Now that's not a question at all. All right, up next is Best Bets. This is On the Money.
Head to 971thefan.com to listen on demand and subscribe to all our podcasts. Wasting time has never been easier. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
At Great Lakes Hyundai, the savings are so good.
The savings are so good at Great Lakes. But have you seen our inventory? With over 1,000 new Hyundais to choose from, there's no need to settle at glakeshyundai.com. Find a new Palisade with the exact options you need, or a new Tucson in that color you have been seeing around town. Plus, every new Hyundai comes with Hyundai Assurance and America's best warranty. A 10-year, 100,000-mile coverage. At Great Lakes Hyundai, the savings and selection are so good.
There's an old story about cat toys that's been retold for over 20 years because it perfectly explains who we are. This is Dennis Sullivan, president of Care Heating and Cooling. Years ago, a couple who shared their house with 3 cats had another company out to look at their furnace. After working on it, the technician said it was dangerous and had to be replaced. The couple called Care for a second opinion, and my dad Mike went out to help them. When he inspected the furnace, the cause of the problem became obvious. A cat toy had been stuffed into the heat exchanger. With the toy removed, the furnace ran perfectly. Now, how did the toy get there? You can decide for yourself. But here's what mattered then and still matters now. The first company paid commissions to their service techs to sell new furnaces. At Care, we pay our technicians to fix furnaces, not sell you a new one. And if a new furnace is needed, our team of replacement specialists will advise you on all options available and help you make your best choice. Care Heating and Cooling. Call 1-800-COOLING when you need a company you can trust.
With Aetna, I always get a quick answer, and I don't have to search on the internet. They go above and beyond to help me with whatever I need.
Those words from a real Aetna Medicare Advantage member speak to why U.S. News & World Report named us a best Medicare Advantage company. Because we show up on calls with members and doctor's offices when requested. We show up with access to convenient care options. We show up for you. Because that's how healthier happens together. Member feedback has been edited for length and clarity.
Your mornings are jam-packed. So if you're going to add anything, make it your favorite bite from Tim Hortons. Buy any size beverage and add a daily baked donut for $1, a tasty bagel for $2, or a freshly cracked hot breakfast sandwich for just $3. It's the best way to add more to your morning. The 1-2-3 menu, only at your neighborhood Tim Hortons. At participating U.S. restaurants, must ask for offer in restaurant. Tax extra. Exclusions and terms apply at timhortons.com/offer-terms.
My name is DeMar Hamlin. I play for the Buffalo Bills, and I play safety. CPR saved my life. I've teamed up with the American Heart Association as a national ambassador to help create a nation of lifesavers, turning bystanders into lifesavers through CPR education and access to AEDs. Nearly 3 out of 4 cardiac arrests that don't happen in hospitals happen in homes. Join me to ensure everyone has the chance to live longer, healthier lives. Visit heart.org/nation.
We have a simple formula at Shelter Insurance. Provide personalized coverage at great rates with local agents to help you choose the coverage you need. And if the unexpected happens, fulfill our promise to be there when you need us most. Find an agent near you at shelterinsurance.com. Shelter Insurance. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
I'm Roger from Columbus. I've lived in Ohio all my life. Owning your home is a cornerstone of the American dream. But for seniors, property taxes keep going up and are costing us everything we've worked for. They're even making it impossible for my grandkids to afford their first homes. Vivek Ramaswamy believes when you own your home, you're in charge. As governor, he'll roll back property taxes to levels from before the end of the pandemic. It's a practical plan that will put thousands of dollars back in your pocket next year while maintaining strong education and dependable police and fire. Ohio's politicians have ignored this crisis for too long. But Vivek Ramaswamy isn't a politician. He's an entrepreneur, and he's ready to fight for you. Ohio needs a leader who makes your life more affordable. That's Vivek Ramaswamy.
Lower costs, bigger paychecks, better schools. Vivek Ramaswamy for governor.
Paid for by Vivek Ramaswamy and Rob McCauley for Ohio.
Hey folks, it's game day and the betting's gonna be intense, Drew. You said it, Dave. But a good pregame routine keeps betting responsible. That's right, you gotta pause before you play. Good call. Sports betting is hot, but it can be risky. And pausing to set limits is an all-star move. That's right, Dave. If you bet on sports, pause before you play to set limits, recognize the risk, and know when to stop. Learn more at pausebeforeyouplay.org.
T-Bone and Tybus is sponsored by Capital Ford of Columbus.
There's a table in there for kids to just sit there and look through their cards.
You want to battle?
There you
Pull
go.
your deck out.
That's the thing. Deck, just to be very clear.
Mornings on The Fan. The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by KDHVAC, doing whatever it takes to keep your home comfortable. The Fan. And now back to a show featuring two dudes who've been kicked out of their homes by angry wives. This pretty much sums up every show we have here on The Fan. You're listening to On the Money.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
All right, if you're headed out to the beautiful sports book at Hollywood Casino, you're probably wanting to make some money, so let's try to help you make some money. Ryan, do you have any best bets for the good people?
All right, I got a couple here. They're playing the Valero Open down in Houston right now, and the third round got suspended due to weather, so they're actually on the course right now, wrapping up that third round. Your leader is Robert McIntyre. He's minus 15. He's got 4 holes to go here. He's on hole 14 right now to wrap up his third round, and then he's got to play his final round. He has been by far the best player down there this weekend. He's got a 3-stroke lead over Matthew Wallace and Michael Kim. Those are the two he's got the lead on. A couple guys are right there. J.J. Spahn, Kevin Yu, Andrew Putnam, Ludwig Oberg at minus 11 right behind him. So even with that 3-stroke lead, he's minus 180 right now to win the tournament. I would jump on that and put a little juice on Robert McIntyre. And then I've been impressed with the way the Guardians have started the season here. And Chase DeLauder sure seems like the real deal. Jose Ramirez, you know what you're getting out of him. Stephen Kwan. I think this Guardians team is a team that's poised to challenge again for the AL Central, and they'll be a team that makes the postseason. Right now, their over-under on win total for the year is 79.5. Seems awful low to me, and if you would like to jump on that at minus 130, you can go over on the Guards. I think that is a very nice play right now for the Cleveland Guardians.
I'm surprised it's still that low. I wonder if the Reds is still 80.5. I jumped all over 80.5 Reds.
I've got the Reds right now at plus 100 to be over 81.5.
So it's bumped up a little, but I still like that. Yeah, Guards for sure. I like that a lot. And we might have a situation, like there's a good chance this is going to happen, that the AL Rookie of the Year is a Guardian and the NL Rookie of the Year is a Red. Because Sal Stewart's
been playing
he's
well.
Not doing what the young man for the Guardians is doing, but Sal Stewart's playing really well too. Batting cleanup. How about that? You put him between Ellie and A. Eugenio, 22-year-old rookie. And he looks the part. I like that a lot. I might tell you on that one. Guards over 7. That just seems like a low bar. They can still have a losing record at 80 and 82, and I win the bet.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And man, you talk about Sal Stewart. I love yesterday seeing him and Ellie both go back-to-back opposite field. That's very nice.
Very nice, very nice. All right, now, I'm typically not a golf bettor. Although I bet on golf. I'm just typically not a good golf bettor unless I just copy whatever Scotty Vegas is doing. So Scotty's on the show today. I know Scotty's all over John Rahm to win the Masters. Masters begins this Thursday. Do I have that right? I believe it's coming up this week. And 10-1 odds for John Rahm to win the Masters. Like What's going on with John Rahm? Well, he's doing really well on the Live Tour. How do I know that? Because Scotty told me. Or else I wouldn't know. But I also like this. Okay, so Scotty Scheffler is actually the betting favorite at 5-1. But he has not been playing well lately. But I just read a story yesterday. It's like, well, he's been kind of tinkering with a few things. To get ready for the Masters. So I might lay a little money on both. Certainly I like the 10-1 Rahm. I like the value there, and that was Scotty's bet, so I might go a little bigger on that. But I'm going to throw a little money too, 5-1 on Scotty Scheffler. I'll have a couple lines in the water there for the Masters. I mean, one on Rahm, one on Scheffler, and then hopefully nobody else wins. We know Tiger won't win. Was that too soon? That was too soon, wasn't it?
This is the first Masters since 1994. No Phil Mickelson, no Tiger Woods.
Jeez. Unbelievable. Are you with me on the John Rahm, or with Scotty, I should say, on the John Rahm pick?
I don't love the John Rahm pick at the Masters. Scheffler is obviously one that's right there. I kind of like Bryson DeChambeau at 10-1.
He's also playing well on the Live Tour.
He's been playing a little well, and I think this is something that he's kind of been looking for this year. He wanted to be better in the majors this year, so I think in the offseason he has worked on some things in his game. So DeChambeau at 10-1, I kind of like at the Masters this year.
I'm tempted to throw a little cash on one more guy, Colin Morikawa at 35-1. However, he's been having back problems. I think he could probably have a really good round. I mean, is that going to hold up over 4 days when you're having It's probably more than you just woke up with a sore back for them to say he's having like some not serious back, probably where you need surgery. He's going to miss the tournament, but he's having some back issues. Still 35-1. If I was going to take a long shot, probably Morikawa at 35-1.
I like in that 30-ish range, 30-1, Justin Rose. Second last year to Rory McIlroy, right there in that final round. Justin Rose, not getting any younger. 30-1 on Jay Rose, I kind of like too.
Did you have money on the U.S. Olympic team winning the gold medal in hockey?
I did not. I stayed away from that.
And we were live on the air when that happened, as you know.
Amazing.
You were at a cool place as well. Yeah, we were live on the air when it happened. Isaiah had Freebird ready to roll. All right, that is our show for today. Thank you very much for joining us. For Ryan Baker and Isaiah Jacob, I am Dave Biddle. This has been On the Money.
1, 2, 3. Here at the Fan is always football o'clock. Proud to be your home of the Buckeyes, Browns, and all the NFL games you can handle.